She's going live right now.
Just now.
Just now. Not up yet on his phone.
Nothing yet.
There it goes.
We are live. We'll give it another minute.
All right.
We got Hans Shear saying evening,
1
folks.
Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and 4. Do.
All right. We have some people on. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the X-Rock Extreme podcast. My name is Tiffany Andrews. Tonight, I am joined by my co-host, Cord Reside of Mother's Off-Road Recovery. We can see him. We'll barely see him. He is on his way to King of the Hammers, but he is joining us. And then we have one of our other sponsors, Eric Amato of Radial Dynamics.
Howdy.
How are you, Eric?
What's happening?
Not too much. How is everyone tonight?
Oh, just rolling down the road, trying to loosen my load. Got a lot of miles though in my mind.
Now, Eric, they're on their way out. Hans is in the passenger seat, twirling his hair there. But you're going to be heading out to King of the Hammers too.
That's right. Flying out next Tuesday to California. Going to make the rounds for a couple days, visiting some customers out in San Diego area, and then head up to the lake bed from there and check out the X-Rock competition, check out the desert racing, all the different qualifiers, and hanging out all week through the 4,400 race on the following Saturday. So it's going to be a long week, but I always enjoy it. Look forward to it.
So one thing I want to get started off with, because I mean, at this point in time, Radial Dynamics in the off-road world is known. You have your hands in a little bit of every off-road venture there is. Talk to us about all your different products and what you have to offer.
Well, it's the last year certainly has been really exciting. We got started. I started the business 6 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long, but got started in Ultra 4 with the Bleilers. I'm actually representing the Big B sweatshirt tonight. Wouldn't have gotten started without Josh and Rusty Bleiler, and look forward to seeing them out there on the lake bed this year. But the whole business got started in Ultra 4, and then it, by more a matter of luck than anything else, moved into monster trucks, and then really kind of built our bread and butter and grew the business with, the rock crawlers and the recreational, weekend wheelers. And in the last year, we've broken into the trophy truck market and the top levels of desert racing. It's such a performance-based market that your products have to deliver. You have to be able to support at the highest level, and we've been able to do that and really grow our presence in the market. And what's really exciting is this year, at last year's King of the Hammers, we had one trophy truck racing in the Desert Challenge with one of our steering setups on it. And this year we're going to have multiple. We had multiple trucks, the top 3 overall at the Baja 1000 this year. We're running our steering pumps. We've seen a bunch of big wins throughout both Baja and Australia, and a couple other races here in the US over the past year. So just being able to get out to King of the Hammers, where we're going to have the rock crawlers, which is really, kind of where all of this stuff started for us. The desert racers, the trophy trucks, and then Ultra 4s, and have a week-long event of all these all these different types of motorsport that we've been able to develop parts for. It's going to be a pretty special week. I'm looking forward to it.
And
That's awesome.
I mean, go ahead, Cord.
I was going to say that's awesome, considering the fact you get to see all your disciplines in one place.
Yeah,
That's one of the coolest things about King of the Hammers is the fact that you have all these disciplines.
Yep, I'm sure there's even going to be a few monster trucks out there too. I know I saw a couple rolling around last year. So it's like there's nowhere else you can go that you're going to see that spread of different types of motorsport genres all in one place and all competing and I'm not involved in motorcycles at all, but they got King of the Motos already going on. Like it's crazy. It's pretty special what Dave's built over the last however many coming up 19. On 20 years and 19. Yeah. My first time going out to Hammers was in 2011, and that was 6 years before steering was even a concept that I had crossed paths with. It was just, I loved it. I was hooked. I started racing at Roush in Pennsylvania, and that's how I kind of got in with the East Coast racing teams and ended up by accident doing what I'm doing today.
It's probably the best accident you ever had, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt.
If motorcycles start needing power steering, they better be getting pretty big.
I would think so. Yeah.
What about quads, like with the electric power steering?
I really don't get into the electric power steering. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yes, I get into electric power steering, but I get into high voltage, much more advanced electric power steering. The 12-volt power steering systems, there's so many road-going cars that use electric steering these days. The quads, the UTVs, they all have electric power steering. And there's only so much that you can do with a 12-volt system.
Fair enough.
Especially as we get into bigger and bigger vehicles, they need more horsepower just to turn the tires. And you can do it with 12 volts, but you're going to need so much amperage that it's like you're going to have a very low duty cycle, and you're not going to be happy with it. So with all of the OEMs and the mass production electric steering kits that are out there, it's not really worth our time to spend our resources when we can really focus on the hydraulic stuff. And that's where hydraulics aren't going anywhere anytime soon, just between the power density, how much power you can transfer to your steering in a relatively compact and lightweight system. That it's always going to have its benefits and its advantage. And, if we can keep pushing the limits to make it faster, stronger, more efficient, more reliable, I mean, that's just, we're just never going to stop making it better.
Yeah, the hydraulics have ran the world for so many years that there's no way it's going to disappear overnight.
No. And certainly there are some advantages with electrification and, certain applications. My personal race buggy, it's a hill climb buggy, and it, short duration. I don't need a lot of endurance or mileage range, but I can get stupid horsepower out of it, and hopefully make that thing a lot more stupid than it used to be when it had a Hayabusa motor in it. I'm looking forward to getting it done. Of course, I'm like a year and a half behind schedule and counting right now. But, personally, I haven't raced in over 2 years. And as much as I miss it and want to spend more time getting my buggy done so I can get back out racing, I've been having so much fun doing what I'm doing and being involved in all of the success stories that our customers have been experiencing, in the past couple of years, where their wins are my wins, and I get to be a part of a lot of different success stories, which is pretty special.
Yeah, that really works out when it comes down to stuff.
Yeah.
And with our qualifying at King of the Hammers, you actually have a race going on one side of the rocks and us on the rocks. So you'll be able to get to watch the two different things that you do have your hands in, like going on at the same time and just being in there involved with all of that as well.
Yeah, Saturday morning, they're going to be running the Unlimited Desert Race qualifier right as X-Rock is getting started. So I'm going to be up on the X-Rock course taking pictures and video up there. And right behind us, we're going to have, I've got some trophy trucks that'll be running their qualifying lap. So hopefully you get to see a little bit of both. And then it's kind of nice after that. Then, we get to focus on the qualifier for X-Rock Saturday, the Unlimited trophy truck race on Sunday. So I get to kind of focus on that because that's the only thing going on. And then Monday is get to focus on X-Rock. So it's nice how we kind of start off with a little mix of both and then get to focus on one and then the other and go through the rest of the week from there.
And if
I'm just
anybody
excited I
that's
get a day break.
tuning in, doesn't know this, Eric, you mentioned about being on the rocks, taking video and picture. Eric does phenomenal media coverage. I mean, and that's just putting it lightly. You're always on the rocks at the competition, taking amazing pictures and videos, and we always appreciate that, along with your sponsorship within our series.
Yeah, thanks. I have quite a passion for photography, and actually in the couple of years right before I fell into steering, I got pretty hard into photography, and the year that I stumbled into steering, I was actually going all over the country that year, shooting different rock bouncing and Ultra 4 and mega truck events, and got really deep into it. And then I got into steering and started Radial Dynamics, and it's actually, I think, from a photography point of view, it's even better because now I can, rather than trying to shoot everybody and try to find people to buy my pictures afterwards, I'm going out to shoot my customers for the business. Something that I like to do with especially our really good customers. If I get an awesome shot of them, send them some high resolution pictures, or even send a print for just a thank you for being a good customer. And so it's kind of fun. And then getting to have more control over our product photography and marketing. It's all me, but it gets to release my creative side.
And also the other thing about that is, at the end of the day, it's that little tokens of appreciation that you sending somebody a picture or something like that can really bring them back to your company, because you're showing that you're appreciative of them as well.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. If I've got good customers that are supporting me and sending people my way, then I want to do what I can to show my appreciation for that.
Actually, I used one of the pictures I captured you. I think it was at our famous Reading event last year, our qualifying, where you have a video, like your phone in one hand, trying to capture the perfect picture with your regular camera. No, you do an amazing job in that. I know you let us use some of your content as well for our promotions and stuff, as a thank you to the competitors and everybody else, along with just you in general, of coming up, showing out. One thing we didn't talk about, I know with your products though, you've been doing a lot of this EV stuff.
Right.
You were supposed to have one racing, but unfortunately they're not going to be there.
Yeah, we had, so we've got two Ultra 4 EV cars that we have our high voltage steering pump system on. One of which is Dave Cole's Hypercraft car, which was really built and finished out more as just an exhibition test vehicle, kind of get all the systems functioning. The other one, we had Keith and Melissa Silva from Evolve Racing that raced the last 2 years, and they had a Tesla powered Chevy S10 rock crawler that was converted to an EV Ultra 4. Unfortunately, they will not be joining us this year, so we're going to be sad to miss them out on the lake bed. I don't know where Dave's car is at. I'm hoping that we might get to bump into it somewhere out in the desert this year, but Yeah, the whole EV thing, actually, for me, it started with Dean Benner about 3 years ago when he was just starting his electric rock crawler, and had asked if I had any options for steering for an EV. And of course, kind of getting back to, it takes so much horsepower to turn 42-inch tires, especially when they're bound up against the rocks, that a normal 12 volt, like a steering pump, electric steering pump out of a Volvo is just not going to cut it. So that was really what started it. And Chris Agnetta is on here joining us tonight, and he's been the one that's really made it happen as far as just the programming and controls and making the pump work. Built a really good relationship with Terzo Power Systems. They make the pump unit that we've been using, and so we're kind of integrating our own whole package and control system to drive the pumps on demand and get the most efficient but the most high performance and reliable steering that we can out of any vehicle that has a high voltage power source. So it's not just EVs, it could be hybrid vehicles as well. So for instance, like the Jeep 4xe hybrid Wranglers, they have 400 volts available. And if someone really cared to, they could tap into that and run one of these pumps. But when we see the challenges with most traditional hydraulic steering systems, especially on racers that are running at such high RPM and consuming so much horsepower and building heat and kind of wearing the pumps out, on an electric driven system, we don't have to worry about that because we can run the pump only as fast as it needs to run at any given time, regardless of, you're not tied to an engine or vehicle ground speed or anything like that. So it's been a fun project to work on. It it certainly isn't blowing the doors wide off our sales, and I never really expected it to. But we have the only standalone high voltage electric pump system that's out there, which with all of the controls that we have built into it, we can run it on demand or we can run it at a fixed speed, depending on what the application is. And then also sort of the technology that we've developed for it. For instance, we had to come up with our own printed circuit board control module, and that control module that we now have that's been developed, we've gone into production on it. We can write new programming to do other high-tech steering projects that we've very, very much on the side been picking away at for the last few years, one of which would be active rear steer. And for anybody that's familiar with Paul Horschel's Ultra 4 car, it is a rear steer, independent front and rear suspension with rear steer. And it runs one of these active steering systems where we can independently, basically he doesn't have to think about his rear steer. He just turns the steering wheel to turn the front tires. And the system it sees what angle he turns his front to, and it automatically steers the rear to a certain angle based on the front steering angle and the vehicle speed. That can all be mapped to make it so that the vehicle becomes more stable, or at low speed it can be tightening the wheelbase or tightening the turning radius, essentially, just to make the car more nimble. So there's some really cool stuff that's possible, and it's all just kind of part of the evolution that we're keeping in mind and picking away at as we grow the business.
Now, when you talk about that car, the rear steer being active, now can he shut that feature off for like when he's going, or is it shut off when it goes to a certain speed?
You can program it so that it stops and just maintains straight rear tires at a certain speed.
Gotcha. I could just only imagine flying across the desert and like giving it a little input and getting that weird sensation from the rear as well.
Right. I mean, and at low speed, you want the rear to counter steer, because then that basically shortens your wheelbase effectively. It gives you a tighter turning radius, so you can weave around the rocks quicker. But then at high speed, you either want the rear to stay straight, or actually if you give it just a little bit of crab steering at a smaller proportion, it's almost as if you're lengthening your wheelbase, which can make your steering response feel more stable at high speed. So it's neat the way that it can be mapped and tuned that way.
That's crazy to even think about, wrap your head around. That's pretty cool.
But in the same sense, what you were asking, it can be shut off where you turn up, shut it off and have it just hold centered rear steer. And then, he's got his backup. It's just a manual lever rear steer valve in case, he needs to steer it one way or the other, independent from the active system. He can just override it manually, hydraulically. So yeah, it's opening up, a whole world for future steering technologies that, maybe people have thought of, but implementation is a whole nother story. And it's at least possible at this point.
That's awesome.
So as you're talking about this and explaining this, one big thing that you have on your social media channels, especially Instagram, are your Tech Tuesdays. And this is kind of like what's making me go into it. And inadvertently last year, you also did like a free live Tech Tuesday type seminar out at King of the Hammers, helping people. I think, what did we say? It was Matt Cutler or something?
Matt Cutler, yeah. I was doing a quick service on his steering pump, and it kind of turned into a whole steering lesson for a trailer full of people. Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, my approach to steering has been I can build the best product in the world, but if people don't understand how it works and they set it up improperly, then it's just not going to last. So it's always been a top priority of mine to focus on customer education, helping people out, understanding why things need to be set up a certain way, kind of giving them some reasonable technical insight so that they understand why things work the way they do. And that, I think that it goes a long way because I want, our company, our products will only be successful if our customers have success with our products. So we want to do everything that we can to make sure that they're setting up their cars correctly, that they're not making, the common mistakes that lead to premature pump failure or, any kind of issues with their steering that would leave them unhappy, because if it doesn't work, they're going to go elsewhere and find, try something else. So we want to make sure that anybody that swaps over to our stuff is happy with it and tells everyone else that they know to come here as well.
No, and I've heard that so much, like not only about your product and company and you stand behind your product and the communication and everything as well, but the knowledge that comes with Radial dynamic products, it just goes above and beyond. And I've heard that from so many people running your product as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try to. I feel like as especially the last year or two has gotten busier and busier, that I think I only had a couple Tech Tuesdays that I posted in the last 12 months. So I'm trying to, as I grow the business and we're looking for another full-time employee now to help manage the workload. And I'm trying to make sure that I can free myself up to get back to doing more of the tech content. And, getting back into the Tech Tuesdays, trying to do some more demo videos, because that's really, when I first started, I was doing a ton of demo videos that I shot just in my garage where I started out. And when I look at my YouTube page right now, it's very outdated because all the videos on there were shot 5 years ago in my dark, moldy, dusty garage. So I'm understanding that I need to do some updating and kind of get fresher tech out there, especially, we've learned a lot over the last few years, and fortunately the failures have been few and far between, but every single one there has been, we've learned from it. We've learned, whether it had to do with a system setup or product improvement. My understanding of hydraulic systems has evolved as we've seen more and more, and kind of like the State Farm commercial. We know we've seen it all, and once you see something happen once, next time you see it again, you can jump straight to it without having to spend a week doing R&D to try to recreate it or figure it out.
We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Yeah, exactly.
What city is your new shop located in?
We're in Greenfield, Massachusetts. So I've been pretty much, other than a couple of years stint living in Virginia, I've been working here in Greenfield since 2009 when I first got out of college. I spent 12 years right around the corner from where we're at right now at a company that manufactures industrial spray nozzles. And so that was what I did for more or less 12 years. I was a spray nozzle and a spray systems engineer. And so when I saw what was going on in the steering world and the struggles that people were having, I didn't necessarily have a hydraulics background, but I had a fluid systems, a pumps background, and calculating pump horsepower and flow velocities and all that kind of stuff was all very fundamental that translated over, and it kind of snowballed from there. So yeah, we're in Greenfield here. The building that I'm in right now, it's a 5,300 square foot commercial building in the industrial park that I was fortunate to score back in 2022. I was very quickly outgrowing my house, working out of the basement and my detached, uninsulated, unheated pole barn, and was running out of room quickly. So I was looking for a new place, new shop, and this place popped up a mile and a half down the road from the house, and it was perfect. It was more room than we needed, but we're filling it up quickly. We've also got an industrial controls company that rents out a part of the building, and they run their operations out of here too. So we've got some stuff we're going to be collaborating on coming up for kind of manufacturing stuff that we've been working on, and yeah, it's been a wild journey these last few years.
Well, I was trying to, just figure out if anybody's looking for a job and, go see Eric.
Yeah, we are hiring right now. We're looking for a full-time technician to help us out with assembling and testing steering pumps and the reservoirs and the valves and all the fun stuff that we do. And yeah, we've got big plans that we're looking to bring more manufacturing in house this year. Try to get some CNC machining, and I'm sure we're going to be needing more help here before too long.
Now, I know you've been doing some variations. We talked about that, about your different pumps and everything, but you just kind of mentioned some projects in the works, future collaborations with something. Can we talk without going too far in depth about that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's as the business has grown and we've been needing to be able to assemble and ship more and more pumps each month. One of the biggest bottlenecks, other than just having the people here to assemble the pumps, we've got to dyno test every single pump that we sell. Whenever anybody buys a pump from us, whether it's a TC pump or the RDT pump, which is the one that we sell for the trophy trucks and Ultra 4s, that pump comes with a label that has a QR code, and you can scan that QR code, and your pump, known by its unique serial number, you get to see a video of that pump on our test stand. But that whole process, so every single pump we ship has to be tested. We've got to create a video for it. There's a lot of record keeping and documentation that goes on. So what we've been doing, and Chris was also a big part of this as well, just recently set up a system that we basically can scan a serial number on the pump itself. It automatically pulls that up, automatically takes the video, automatically creates the label that goes with the pump. And then moving forward, we are still going to have a bottleneck of every pump that we put on the test stand. We run it for 5 to 10 minutes, both to break it in and also just to get air out of the system before we do kind of our full dyno pull, the full power dyno test. So right now it's a gas-driven test stand that I built 3 years ago when I was still in my garage and didn't have 3-phase power, and it was kind of limited, but I needed 20 horsepower to test. So we're going to be building a new electric powered test stand. I've got a 20 horse electric motor already. We're going to put a VFD on it. And we're going to be working on a new control system so that we can basically automate the whole dyno test, record all the data, actually data log the flow rate, the pressure, the RPM, all of that stuff that all gets tied with that pump. So when you get your pump, there's no doubt that it's good. So doing some of that stuff, and then there's some other manufacturing projects that we're working on that we're bringing manufacturing in house that will be very cool, but I can't talk too much about it yet.
I'm just checking Chris's.
Sounds
Chris
like
is very active. I think he's excited.
He is. I think so. I think Chris is as or possibly more excited than I am, and I'm really excited.
So I just want to kind of give a recap to people that may be joining in that is curious about what's going on with XRock when it comes to our scoring system and everything else. We do a qualifying day, and there are 5 gates. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cord. And do we give them 10 or 20 minutes for qualifying? I forget.
It depends on how we set the course. We normally give them 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how long the course is. We set up 5 gates. The winner is the person who does the gates the most gates in the fastest amount of time wins, and then goes down from there. And then those 10 people that qualify,
I wanted to
1
talk
through
about
10.
the gates though, quick. So something that's different that we do is the gates are directional. It will tell you which way you have to go through the gate, but it's not. You can pick any order you want, whichever gates that you feel comfortable that you can get the most gates, and you keep that hardest one for the last one. It's whoever gets the most gates in that 10 to 15 minutes of time for qualifying. And then the top 10, like Cord said, will go to our main event. And then we give them 20 minutes, correct?
20 minutes per course, 2 courses. Same rules apply. The gates will be marked with a letter B on the cone. You have to go from the cone from that direction. Again, any order you want. So however you feel is your strategy to be able to be the fastest through those, how many cones you can get in that 20 minutes. And then at the end of the day, we rack up as the combined score between the 2 courses. And that's your score for the end of the day.
And one good thing about the main competition for the top 10, what we do that day to get that extra advantage, if by chance you do get all 5 gates within that 20 minutes, you have the option to use your starting gate as an extra gate to get a potential 6th gate. We only do that for the main event. But that gives you a very big advantage. I think we've only had one ever. So it doesn't. It's a feat just to try to get there, but it is doable. And this year for King of the Hammers. Typically, we start our competitions at 10 o'clock for King of the Hammers. While you're tuning in, we will have posts going up about it as well, but we will be starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a little different for this one event, but we're excited to do that. I mean, for us East Coasters, we're still starting later, essentially.
It'll be noon for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that is the only difference. For King of the Hammers, we will be doing a 9 a.m. start time compared to our usual 10 a.m.
And that's for Monday as well?
Yes.
Yes. The BLM wants to make sure that we are done before dark.
And Eric, you were mentioning earlier about like how King of the Hammers, you have a little bit of everything. You have the trophy trucks, you have the Ultra Fours, you have the dirt bikes, you have some monster trucks. Well, our second event, we are changing things up. We're trying to very much branch out this year. Our second event this year, I do want to mention, we are going back to our home course at Famous Reading Outdoors in Pennsylvania, and we are teaming up with the PA Mudfest. It's a 4-day weekend for Memorial Day. They have a bunch of events there. They have mud trucks, they have mega trucks, they have quads, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, Jeeps. Our competition, I think there's even Barbie downhill Jeeps. It's
Yep.
a family event. They have things for like little kids on up, bands every night, a ton of vendors, food, everything like that. So our first two events are a lot different than our typical events that we used to have. But we are branching out, and we're trying to keep evolving and bringing more to our competitors, our spectators, for our sponsors, more exposure. And to say our first two events this year are going to be just that is probably an understatement. We are looking at what, 70, 80,000 people at King of the Hammers. I think the PA Mudfest is probably going to be close to 10,000. So our numbers with everything are going drastically up. A lot more crowd control, a lot more spectators and everything. So yeah, we're excited for this fun adventure for our season 2025.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's I think it's much needed, and what the X-Rock competitions are, and the courses that get built, and the the gates that get set, which are just absolutely insane. It's some of the most intense rock crawling I think that's out there, but it's easy for people that aren't directly involved in X-Rock to not see it and to not be aware of it. So yeah, the fact that X-Rock will be at Hammers this year, right outside Hammertown, making it accessible to a lot of people to show what these things can do is going to be really cool.
Well, and we've been strictly East Coast. This is our first time going out West. We've had so many competitors and sponsors and everybody saying, when are we going to go out West? And it's really our staff. That was one of Hans's biggest things is he can probably go out and he himself can go out, have a competition, but it's our staff, our core group. There's 6, 7 of us going to be out there.
Yes. Six of the main group, and then we have a few other people coming to help as well.
A lot of resources.
So it's
it's a lot of resources to put on a West Coast event like that from a almost purely East Coast organization.
Yeah, there's a lot of money getting thrown out to get across the country. That is for sure.
But that's one thing, like Hans, I know he prides himself on, is when he does that, he doesn't just make the decision himself. He comes to all of us, his core group of workers, and makes sure that we're all on board. I mean, he threw all these suggestions out to do King of the Hammers, to do the PA Mudfest. And, as long as he got the yays from everybody, he's like, okay, I guess we are going to actually do this then. So, no, we're all excited to be out there.
Yeah, I can't wait to be out there. I got so excited last night when I finally got everything into the trailer and fit that I was super excited. I just couldn't. And then I realized it was 1:30 in the morning and my mustache was frozen over, and realized how cold I really was. And I was like, I'm going in the house now.
I think my hands and everything were frozen over just helping load our stuff into the trailer at like 11 o'clock last night.
I was out there for another 3 hours.
But as like Cord saying about loading everything up, Eric, let's talk about something. You will be out on, we talked about being out in California on Tuesday. You'll be on the lake bed either the 30th, 31st.
Mm-hmm.
But people have been asking about your products and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I've had a couple people ask me if I'll be, having product on the lake bed, and other than a few pumps and some things to do show and tell with, I'm not planning on bringing a truckload of inventory with me, just because it's logistically and from a tax and all that kind of perspective that doesn't really work out very well. But for this year, actually, this is the first time that I'll be going to Hammers and not having to just shut the shop down completely while I'm out there. A few times in the past, I've had to have my wife come over and kind of emergency overnight stuff to us out on the lake bed. But the shop will be fully open and functioning while I'm at Hammers this year. We've got my full-time tech, Chris Terro, and he's done a fantastic job. So he'll be here. And if anybody needs, whether it's a pump or valves or orbitals, whatever, they can at least be shipped overnight to Wheeler's Ship It Shop, which is a shipping facility right at the entrance to Boone Road, just outside Hammertown. So that will always be an option. But I'll be on the lake bed. I'll be there for support and to visit all of our customers and new ones, and be there to provide expertise. But I just wanted to let people know that things will still be shipping out. If somebody needs something on the lake bed, it can be there as quick as the next day. And we're looking forward to having a good event.
And if you're lucky,
it will come
Eric
with an
will
extra
give
fee
you
of $35,000.
And I was going to say, if they're lucky, you'll end up doing like a good teaching lesson for them as well.
Right. Yeah. Another steering seminar.
I think you should do that, Eric.
Don't be
Like,
afraid to come
nonchalantly
talk
out
to
there.
Eric.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah. To do a TED talk out there on steering.
Hopefully, Dave, maybe he'll have his EV out there and you could just kind of use that as your baseline.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But I think like is there anything else that we haven't covered yet? I'm trying to check my notes here.
I don't think I have anything.
Cord, I know it's you and we have the big man to your side there. On your travels, I believe you guys are in Tennessee or
Currently
God
in Tennessee, we got 15 miles till we hit Buc-ee's and get some dinner. So this is wrapping up just perfectly.
Perfect.
Does the big man have anything he would like to add? I know we can't really hear him.
I mean, he's watching it and commenting at the same time, but I think he's lagging a few seconds behind us. He's smiling currently, so I mean, I don't know if he's looking just because I'm looking at him. But yeah, we're super excited to be on the lake bed. The last thing I want to also cover is everybody that is competing, that is signed up, make sure you bring your fire suits and all that stuff. Don't forget window nets. We are going to quickly look over cars and make sure everything is right. We don't want to have to send somebody away because they didn't remember their fire suit.
Yeah. I also want to mention for anybody that's going to be out cruising around Johnson Valley, flags are very strongly recommended this year just for safety. So everybody has visibility in the dust and over bushes and all that stuff. So yeah, hope everyone has a safe year out at Hammers this year and enjoys themselves.
I'm just going to run my strobe lights everywhere I go.
There you go.
I know we're going to, do we have a specific spot, Cord? Does Hans know, or are we going to post that earlier next week about where we're going to do these techs?
When we will set everything up, we got to send a point of where the rocks are that we are using. We haven't released that information yet, exactly where we're doing it, because we don't want people out playing on our rocks, learning our rocks before we set the course. The rocks have never been driven on, so we will know if someone does get out there and drives on our rocks before we do. But overall, I believe we will, when we do drivers meeting, is probably when we'll end up doing the quick overlook of vehicles and safety gear.
And next week, we will not be doing a podcast from our normal site. We will only, I believe, I don't know if we're going to end up doing StreamYard next week, but next Thursday, I will be out in Johnson Valley. So I think we might just do maybe a Facebook Live or YouTube Live or something, kind of go around, get to know you thing, kind of chill, relax thing. We don't have anything special planned. And then we will be having our competition Saturday and Monday. But before we do cut this off, I want to make sure I thank our 2025 sponsors. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to give away $10,000 to our top place finishers. And that is, well, I'm going to introduce you guys first. Cord Reside, a Mother's Off-Road Recovery. Our guest tonight, Eric Amato of Radial Dynamics. Jim Markham of JM Rigging. Jeremy Ingram of 386 Fab. We have Wheeling for Warriors. They're up near Eric. Then we also have Kincaid Fabrication. We just sent those trophies last night with Cord. So yeah.
They're mine. They're all mine.
Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, not just for X-Rock, but the sport and the off-road community in general. I know you guys do so much for so many people, and we all are greatly appreciative of all of it.
And I will gladly sell you trophies at $10,000 for the first place, $3,000 for second, and $2,000 for third. So if you want just your own trophy, let me know, and you send the check my way, and I'll make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tiffany. Thanks, Hans, and everyone, Cord, everyone at X-Rock. It's I'm happy to be back on board this year and looking forward to a good season.
I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and having a few conversations with you and learning some more stuff about what your products do and whatnot. It does. Hydraulics is always fascinating. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
So, Cord, Hans, safe travels. Same to you, Eric. You'll be traveling Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks.
And we will all see you guys on the lake bed.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
6 miles to the Beaver. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.